Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Wednesday, the 22nd of April. All right, now as we look at the what's happening in the market, first of all, before I go through and just sort of give you a bit of a run through what happened yesterday or today in the North American session, the dollar falling lower against most pairs. Okay, and just at the start of the fresh day, which is not long ago, the euro sterling Aussie Kiwi just starting to move back a bit. This is a bit of a correction from the overall day's trading that we've just seen. Equity markets in the US down 2.67%. You're going to see that reflected across the market. Once again, it's the oil that was the major news out there, taking another bit of a knee jerk. So some of these futures prices are getting a little bit slammed, right? And that's and for good measure. If there's no one driving around like there usually is, then there's not going to be much demand for oil. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. And the CAD is one currency pair which you can focus on for this trade if you're not already trading oil, which is problematic. I know a lot of brokerage firms actually shut. You couldn't open new positions. You could close your oil trades, but you couldn't open new ones. It's sort of goes back to the GFC where they stopped everyone short selling a lot of stocks. Now, just the news out there, dollar rises on safe haven demand. Well, the index itself was higher over the course of the day. When I come back to the charts, you'll see that the dollar has had a pretty good run over the day. So you are going to get these cycles where it goes up and comes back down. That's just normal trading. So don't think, just when we're looking at, what the dollar's doing right now doesn't give you a good idea of what's happening overall. Now, there's, some coronavirus packages passing the US Senate. Now, it's quite interesting. A lot of US states, are talking about doing a sort of partial open against health warnings and all sorts of things. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Everyone's still rolling out stimulus, even though it looks like there's a lot of places ready to come back online. So there's a big mismatch around what's happening in the whole global economy. Asian equities set to plunge. Well, that's common. If the US equities fall, usually the Asian equities fall, and so do the European ones. So don't read too much into that. Now, just coming across to the charts, as I said, the dollar had a bit of a good day. Now, going back to the GFC, the dollar rallied against everything, right? So that whole default safe haven is in play. The Aussie rolled over. The Kiwi's been a little bit of a tougher trade. So it has broken through, but sort of more trading sideways through that trend line, whereas the Aussies now sort of seem to have found fair value down here around 62.80. Dollar yen, no surprise here. When you see this, the range narrow like this, okay, resistance coming down, support coming in to a point, you usually get a blip to the downside, a blip to the top side, and you end up with your new levels over here. And that's exactly what has happened there. If anything, traders will just be widening out their support and resistance again and doing the same process. So I can't see dollar yen doing too much at the moment. The US dollar is the safe haven trade. So make sure you're sort of more focusing on the dollar than anything else. The yen, it's pulled between various factors and it's not really doing anything. Euro, okay, I thought on a break lower down through 108 sort of 25, we'd see this thing run. It stopped around 108 sort of 10 and then back into the middle of the range. So that sucker there just doesn't want to dance. And sterling, well, we had like a bit of a triple bottom here around 124.05, clean snap through that. So that was turned out to be a good trade, as was the Aussie. And well, I wasn't really sure about what was going to happen with oil, okay, and dollar CAD, but so I sort of left that alone. But as I said, the Canadian dollar very attached to oil. As oil falls, so does the CAD, right? So the dollar's going to rally against that pair. Now, if I just bring you back to the daily trade routine, all right. So what I've got, what I can see is, I think the markets are actually trading quite well. Well, the currency markets, for that matter. Now, US equities and bonds are throwing things around a little bit, but we've got good trading conditions on the currencies in particular. Now, this is where, you come into Wednesday. It's no surprise that the number of active pairs, right, has gone not through the roof, but everything. There's a lot of pairs here which are now active. Unfortunately, the moves have already happened. So what you'll find is, like, we're looking to basically get on the retracements for a lot of these pairs. Oil still waiting to sell rallies. Dollar CAD buy dips. It's already higher, okay, and it's a miles away till we hit resistance. Sterling sell rallies. Well, it's, we know it's lower. Aussie sell rallies. It's already down a bit lower, and obviously the Dow as well. Doesn't mean just because we've seen the moves, there are opportunities, but you got to wait for that retracement to come back into play if you're out of the positions. And the rest of the pairs here, the watch list pairs that don't have extremely clear direction, well, there's a few of these with support and resistance. Obviously, dollar yen, euro, and dollar Swiss. These $3 pairs are just sort of sitting there waiting for the dollar to really roar. Okay, I touched up yesterday on euro and dollar Swiss, but it doesn't keep you away from that. All right, so there we are. So the performance preference, or the preference performance, we started to sort of get some accountability this week. Called 5 of these right and got 2 of them wrong. And then you'll see the overall stats there as well. Now, where's the next move going to come from? Well, generally it's going to be the news, but just keep an eye on the CPI numbers here out of the UK and Canada, right? These are key data. Well, this is sort of the key data that the central banks usually look at. Now, I know they've been pushed aside for the moment, but we did have some Kiwi numbers which showed a big bounce in inflation, showed everyone was spending. It's going to be interesting to see what the inflation numbers are. Now, I don't expect them to impact the market, but you want to start building up some sort of basis around what's going to happen if all this starts to unwind. If inflation starts to go up here, that's a great sign, and the central banks will be happy. If it's not, well, then they've got to do some more stimulus, and that could create further issues on the equity markets. All right, guys, that's it from me. Not a hell of a lot to really jump up and down about. Good trading conditions. As I said, yesterday was where the moves happened. You can never tell what day they're going to come. But right now, I'm looking to sell Aussie on a rally. I'm going to leave Euro alone. Looking to sell Sterling on a rally. And then you've got gold and oil also looking for a couple of opportunities there. All right, guys, that's it from me. Have a good trade day. Cheerio.